Namaste. Welcome to Mental Health and Wellness with Divya Hari. Have you noticed after having a stressful day, have you had headaches? Or after falling ill, have you noticed how your mood changes? There is enough evidence that our mind and our body are connected. We have with us today Ms. Anshita. Anshita holds a master's degree in counseling psychology. She is also a certified clinical hypnotherapist. Let us welcome her on our show today. Hi Anshita, welcome to our show.
Hi Divya, thanks for inviting me. This is very great. Yeah.
Thank you. As we spoke previously about mind and body connection, you also integrate mind and body connection into your practice with your client,
Correct.
right? So could you tell us the importance of how or why mind and body are connected?
Okay. The terms itself, when we put them together, the psychology of body and mind, I think in a sense we already understand what it could really mean. So let's understand it from a practical aspect, something that you've already mentioned, which is, for example, you have a presentation that you have to go for tomorrow, and you can tell me, like, what do you think you're going to feel in your body if, like there is a presentation in front of a lot of people, significant people who are going to judge you based on your performance. So what do you think we may feel in our body?
I will definitely have a racing heart. My stomach will feel sick. I will have palpitations.
Right, exactly. But what does that mean according to our mind? What do you think that emotion really is about?
Fear, anxiety,
Exactly.
fear of me goofing up in front of such important people.
Exactly. Another example that I could give, for example, you are having a really tough day, and by the end of the day, you find yourself, isolating from everybody else, and you go towards your room, and you can even notice you're taking shorter breaths, and you just scoop yourself up inside the blanket, and you're just disconnected from the entire environment. So that itself, like, your body is saying that I am completely disconnected from the environment, in a sense that I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm not even taking the breath from the air. I'm so disconnected from the environment. So that is on having a tough day. Like, after having a tough day is when your body expresses in ways that your mind may not be able to comprehend and express. So these are the signs. This is what tells us how mind and body is so connected, that if you really pay attention to how you process as a person inside your body, it literally tells you what your mind is actually feeling. So I'll reiterate this sentence, which is, what your mind cannot comprehend and what your mind is not expressing, your body will definitely find a way. So that's why our mind and body, even though they are separate entities, they do not function without the other. So your mind is not separate from your body, and your body is not separate from your mind.
There is a whole saying that goes that the body keeps the score, right?
Correct.
So when your mind is not able to find out that you're anxious or that you're stressed, or maybe even that you are feeling very sad, it is going to manifest as physical symptoms.
Right.
Could you explain a bit more about how our mental stress can manifest as physical symptoms?
Right. I think the main takeaway of this entire topic is that you cannot work on your mental health if you are not going to focus on your physical health.
Vice versa too.
And that's the most important aspect, because what we can take away from this is that we need to start working on the both aspects of health together if you're going to achieve overall health. As I was saying, mental health and physical health, they cannot be separated. Right? Like, they have to be, if you're trying to achieve overall health, you have to put them together. So as you were saying, that how your mental health concerns can be manifested as physical illnesses, it's true. Like, and the funny part about this is, especially in India, the prevalence of mental health illnesses are quite a bit. Like, there are quite a bit of prevalence of mental illnesses. And the thing is, I understand that India is still developing in its destigmatization of mental health, how mental health is being perceived by the people, right? But let's admit it, physical illnesses are more acceptable than mental illnesses. So what happens is that a lot of people lack that social support because of the mental health stigma that people still hold. When you have that mental issues in your life, you're unable to communicate and seek support. But as I said, what your mind cannot express, your body will find a way. So what happens is that even if you don't have that social support, even if in India it's not acceptable, it will show up in more acceptable ways, which is through physical illnesses. That's why a lot of psychosomatic, which is basically mental illnesses that show up in physical manifestations, psychosomatic illnesses show up in a lot of people in the country. So some examples would be that some people have headaches, as you said. A lot of people even have ulcers.
Digestive issues.
Digestive issues is one of the biggest concerns. Even arthritis and hypertension and blood pressure concerns. It's just in a lot of ways that, in people in India have a lot of physical issues that come up in many different ways, yeah.
One more example of how our mind and body is connected is through anger. Why do we feel so uncomfortable in our body when we are angry? It is in the mind, right? So this itself is an understanding how our mind and body is connected.
Absolutely.
Our mind is showing us that we are angry. Our body is portraying that for us through whatever symptoms any person faces.
Correct.
Right?
Right.
We spoke about how physical symptoms are more acceptable in India, but mental health symptoms aren't that acceptable, right? Even though we are having a lot of progress, there has been a lot of shame when it comes to accepting that I'm depressed or I have a mental health condition.
Right.
Even when it comes to workplaces, we are more open to taking leaves for physical symptoms.
Right.
For example, if a person is feeling very anxious that day, or if a person has been feeling depressed, they would give a reason of a physical health symptom but not a mental health symptom. And even in terms of acceptance, when we say that I'm feeling very depressed, I cannot come for work today, it is not seen as a viable reason. It is taken as an excuse rather than a condition.
Absolutely.
What do you have to say about that?
I think I completely agree with you. This aspect that mental health concerns are really excuses is something very important to talk about, because even now, even with a lot of development happening in this area, you're right, I do feel like, the entire aspect of work leave is still wrapping its head around mental health leaves. And I can see the development happening, but you're right, I think it's still lagging somewhere, wherein people are still making physical leaves more of a bigger concern than mental health leaves, because as we said, that shame or that feeling that people might think that I'm making excuses, because there is no proper evidence when you see someone going through a mental health concern.
Exactly, yeah.
I think people need a lot of evidence, right? So because not all mental health concerns can have an outright physical manifestation, so I guess people avoid expressing that part of themselves because it may seem like an excuse.
Yes, you're right. And when it comes to that, people themselves think that, okay, I don't think this is a valid reason for me to take an off today, right? But when there is enough evidence even in your body that you are feeling low, and hence maybe you're having a headache that day, or maybe you have been stressed for a prolonged period of time.
Right.
Your job is stressful, or maybe your family conditions are provoking stress in you. It is going to develop so many physical symptoms in them, and which is why a lot of people develop early health conditions.
Right.
So many people of a very young generation become diabetic at a very young age.
True.
What can we do about this whole issue of not accepting our mind but accepting our body?
I think the first thing I, as a counseling psychologist, always teach is that, I wouldn't say teach, but something that I always bring up in my sessions is that when you're even working on your mental health, always see how you process as a person in your body when you're going through something. For example, you know that you're feeling anxious about something right now. Just observe and be mindful of how your body works at that moment. For example, as I mentioned a practical example before, which is when you are having a really tough day, by the end of the day, you would not want to talk to anyone. You completely isolate yourself, maybe coop yourself under the blanket, and you even notice taking shorter breaths, as I said. So maybe when you're having a really sad day or when you're going through a lot of anxiety, so your body is basically saying that you completely disconnect from the environment. So notice how your body interacts with you or with the environment, because these signs later are going to tell you what you're exactly feeling. So be very mindful of how your body works, because no matter what signs it shows, it's also telling you what it might instead need. So for example, as I said, in this example, it's more of a disconnect with the environment. So what would be a better option would be to maybe start reconnecting with the environment. That's why a lot of YouTube channels or even therapists of yours would be telling you that, when you're feeling anxious or when you're feeling sad and you're not breathing well, they'll probably give you a lot of breathing exercises.
Yes.
That's a way to reconnect your body to the environment again, because it had been disconnected at that time. So these are the ways. You may, instead of isolating yourself from people, you might actually find one person you trust and actually talk to them rather than not expressing at all. That's a way better option than completely isolating yourself. So this is one of the very important aspects of understanding your mind and body and using them both together. There are other aspects also. For example, it's very important that when you're even trying to work on your mind, definitely work on your lifestyle.
Yes.
So lifestyle includes your nutrition, a balance between a routine and a spontaneous life, your sleep hygiene, and a lot of movement in your life. I think this lack of movement in your life is also something that really hampers mental health. So these things also need to be considered when you're actually working on your mind, because you just cannot separate your nutrition, movement, and for people who have uterus and live a life with their menstrual cycle, even having a complete proper hormonal checkup of and living a life with their menstrual cycle, that is also a very, very important aspect that needs to be definitely considered, but a lot of people may not really be aware of that. So these are some of the points.
To rephrase what you said, we in layman terms call it checking in with yourself.
Correct.
Right? So these are three primary things which I ask my clients. First thing is, are you clenching your jaw?
Correct. Absolutely.
Second thing is, are you hunching? Is your back hunched?
Correct.
Right? And is there a tightness in your stomach? Is there a tightness in your chest? How is your heart rate right now? Is it too slow? Is it too fast?
Correct.
Observe how you feel in minute ways. Check in with yourself with every part of your body. Are your feet cold? Are your hands shivering? How is your breath? Is your breath short? Are you taking deep breaths? Right? So checking in with minute things and then integrating it as a whole.
Correct.
And then I make them see the feelings wheel and point out how are they feeling.
Exactly.
So this is one good way to seek a balance and also point out how your mind does affect your body and how your body does affect your mind.
Always.
Like how you mentioned, our lifestyle really does impact our mind. Healthy food, moving around, or even our sleep for that matter. I'm not sure about how much sleep is important for each person. For some people it might be 7 to 8 hours, for some people 6 to 7 hours, right? So when it comes to sleep, having quality sleep, I have noticed how irritated I feel when I don't have sleep.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you for explaining about how our mind and body is connected.
Yeah.
It was very helpful. Before we wrap up, can you give us the mental health tip of the day?
Sure. One very important mental health tip that I could give, as I already explained how our mind and body is connected, to reconnect yourself to the environment, a breathing exercise is the most powerful thing that you can ever hold. Your breath is the one medium that you have that you can use to your advantage. So one breathing exercise that genuinely really helps even me as a therapist, which is the diaphragmatic breathing, It really helps in calming down your nervous system as a whole and helps your body reconnect to the environment again. So this breathing exercise, the diaphragmatic breathing, has been the most efficient as I could find out of all the other exercises. So we basically breathe in through our nose for 4 counts, hold 1 count, and breathe out through our mouth 8 counts, and then hold 1 count. So it's 4, 1, 8, 1. And we keep repeating this until we can feel our physical symptoms calm down a little bit. And keep doing it, and after we feel a little calm is when we start going back to our daily routine and start making decisions again. So this is a tool that really helps, and I feel like it could be really helpful. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming to our show.
Yeah, thank you so much.
This was it about our mind and body connection. I will be back with another episode with another topic. Until then, take care, stay safe. Thank you.
Click on the bell icon to watch our latest videos.